Hey, Richard Mellor here for Facts for Working People, and I wanted to make some comments on the video I put on above this of Ilhan Omar in the Congress talking. I guess it's some sort of committee. I guess it's an approval committee to Elliot Abrams, the person that the predator-in-chief has chosen as an envoy to Venezuela. This guy is a mass killer. His role in Central America has been as a mass killer. And she is raising, she is in there in the den of thieves. Every American knows how rotten they are, billionaires and millionaires. There's a reason 100 million Americans don't participate in voting, and it's not because they all don't care. So she's addressing this killer. And here she is asking him questions about it. And I was very moved, and I'll tell you why I was very moved watching her. Here is, in this den of thieves, this small refugee from Somalia, a tiny war-torn country, war-torn and war-torn through colonial invasions and the competition between colonial powers and everything else in the Horn of Africa, in Eastern Africa. She's managed to escape that. She's a small brown woman. She's a Muslim girl wearing a hijab, and she's a Muslim, as I say. So here she is. She's got all that in this country against her, in a way, and so not in a very serious way. And I watched her as she's reading, and her English is very good, but I watched her as she's reading, and she's trying to make sure she doesn't give what really are, at the face value of it, a bunch of old racist white guys that will, at the first chance they get, attack her on racial grounds, sexual grounds, religious grounds, as a religion that's under assault here in the United States and the world, the Western world, and everything else. And I could see her, watch her as she was reading, to try to make sure. I'm sure inside her she was trying to make sure, don't slip up. Don't let too much of an accent. Don't make a mistake with a word. I just watched her. I felt tremendous solidarity with her. I'm not a Democrat. I don't support the Democrat Party. She shouldn't have run as a Democrat if she's a socialist. I don't know if she is or not. But nevertheless, the reality there. And I watched her, and I wished her the best of luck, and I was very glad she got an opportunity. All the other politicians in there that claim in the Democratic Party, Pelosi, and all the other power in the Democratic Party, and a lot of the so-called progressives should be asking him that question. This new elected group should be rallying around her. She should have apologized she didn't make anti-Semitic remarks. She had nothing to apologize for. They should be rallying around her now, and any others that take these stands. But there she is, calling this rotten, filthy mass killer out. And so to me it was very moving. And also I wanted to say a thing. In my writings on the blog and when I speak on the blog, I'm one of those who, because in the United States here, the class issue is completely suppressed in favor of identity. And identities are important, whether you're gay, whether you're a woman, whether you're black, whether you're a Native American. All of this was colonized by white European capitalists, and it's dominant. The ruling class has white skin. They're predominantly Protestant, I would imagine, and Anglo-Saxon. These are secondary factors, though. But and you know that I don't like, and I've said many times, to raise the issue of white supremacy without a class content is a mistake if you're going to do that. So I'm not paying lip service to that identity politics, but the reality is this: every person of color, whether you're a Mexican, an indigenous person, African, Afghani, whatever, every person of color that's not a bootlicker and a kiss ass trying to get up and hang out with the white bourgeois that control the society and let a bit of it rub off on them or open doors for them, every person of color will feel with her, will be proud of her, will look at her. Every woman that's not an opportunist will do the same thing, or a racist or a religious bigot will do the same thing. They're on her side. And they're right to be on her side, and I'm on her side on that. And I'm proud that she's up there saying something about these things. And Now, on the question of class and race, class and whiteness, that they've made whiteness the issue. The ruling class in this country have made whiteness the issue, and it's not the dominant issue. The real issue is a class issue. But if you look at, but nevertheless, that's what we're faced with, the struggle against the fact that they've made that the race. They made it a race for one thing, and black a race, and we have to struggle against that. But if you look at the first English settlement here, for Jamestown in 1608, in Jamestown, look at the people. There wasn't a bunch of peasants, of British peasants, English peasants, Irish peasants that got on a boat and said, "Oh, let's go to the New World." That was a funded, consciously funded project to seek markets on the behalf of British capitalism, English capitalism in particular there, that was beginning to grow and to develop within the womb of the feudal regime, within the womb of feudal society. If you look at the financiers of it, merchants, chartered companies and everything else, there was different classes in Jamestown. And if you read Theodore Allen's 2 volumes on the invention of the right race, you see that prior to the Bacon's Rebellion, that the white was not a racial definition. It was made a racial definition after Bacon's Rebellion, where instead of saying, well, a Negro, which just meant a black person, they didn't have nation states at that time, a Negro and an Englishman, a Negro and a Scotsman, a Negro and an Irishman ran away, it became suddenly a black man and a white man ran away. You know, it became a Negro and a white man, and this idea is a conscious injection into this society as a means to divide us, just like Muslims and Hindus are divided in India, Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland, and so on. So why I say that's the reason I use that so emphatically here, because black people have had to deal with the same thing, and they have white faces. Political people know that behind it, and Africans are very clear on that there's more of a class question there, but it's been undermined here. It's very powerful here, this media, the bourgeois media, and the trade union leadership are a complete criminal in their negligence in helping us, the working class, understand that. But so when there's that song, you know, I think it was written by Gil Scott-Heron, Nina Simone sang it, and she's talking about your mean old white backlash. That's all you ever gave us. And I know when I first heard that, before I became political, I felt it was an attack on me. But of course it's not an attack on me. It's just like when a Catholic in Northern Ireland would raise, oh, those goddamn Protestants. Well, it's not really the Protestants. It's just that they know they get better housing, they know get better education, they know those jobs go to them and everything else. So it comes out in a way where the person's religion is attacked, but that's not the primary issue. And so I just wanted to, if I don't care if you, I'm not so important that you listen to the rest of this with me, but the main thing is that just look at that little person there. And look at who she's up against and what she's saying and the viciousness that's that they're facing, that these people are facing. And I'll tell you this, she shouldn't have apologized. Ocasio-Cortez threw her under a bus, really, by saying, oh, she's learned, look how she can apologize. And all of those lefties and progressive, they should have campaigned, got around her. She wasn't anti-Semitic. And the other thing is, and I'll finish on this, because I can go on too long, as friends know, is in this instance, and in the so-called anti-Semitic instance, the new Turks, the young Turks, these new progressives, the left wing in the Democratic Party, the trade union leaders, all progressive organizations in the United States should rally around these. You don't have to support their party they're in. You don't have to support them. I didn't vote for them. I wouldn't have voted for them. They for reasons I don't have to go in it. But around these issues, when they're attacking these people, and we should support them, and the trade union leaders should support them. There's nobody else doing that. There's nobody else doing that, and it's important. That Elliot Abrahams is a murderer and a killer, and he's anti-worker, and he doesn't like white people. None of who's suffering in this country today. The living white workers not white people, white workers. The living standards of the life expectancy of the white worker is declining. That's in a country where that's a privileged group. What do you think's happening to white people that their life expectancy is declining? The opioid epidemic is killing them in scores, you know? So we're all under assault, but they've played this race game, this colour game, and I loved seeing that little woman up there. I'll defend her any bloody time. I'm proud that she sat up there, and I feel sympathy. And I'll tell you one way I feel sympathy to that as an immigrant. Growing up in England, we were forced. I worked in villages where the liberal where the landowning middle classes were, and whenever I worked with another friend or another working class guy, and we were in the village talking to some of the middle class landowner types or their daughters or whatever, and my friend would start talking a little bit different. You see, he was trying to get out. He was trying to say I'm different. He wanted to identify with them. Just like when black people say, you know, oh, she's talking white. What they really mean is she's talking the white middle class language. I mean, most white people I know don't talk that way. So it gets mixed up when your politics are not clear. But I know about that because that's how they judged us. That's how they judged us, by how we talk. I didn't suffer as being a male. I didn't feel sexually discriminated against or colour-wise. Oh, I'm the same colour as them. Anyway, it's been a bit of a ramble. But I put that thing up, and I hope you look at it and look at her that way and give her a thumbs up, that woman. All right? There's a lot of bad guys up there. That's the end of this. Thanks a lot for listening. Richard Mellor, Facts for Working People.